This is the unboxing of the Game Boy Advance Halo Light, made by Innovation. So that's what it's supposed to look like. With the introduction of the Halo Light, handheld gamers can experience a whole new level of gameplay never before enjoyed. Halo Light for the Game Boy Advance solves the problem. Gamers rejoice! Finally, a lighting solution that really makes it possible to play all games all the time, regardless of lighting conditions of your surroundings. Hopefully that's true. The features include all you need to install Halo. So you can install Halo. Sweet. And yeah, you should recycle. So it comes in this annoying package. And I had to use this knife to open it. So this box comes with let's see, instructions, the adapter thing that plugs into the Game Boy, and the lens. So it's not actually yellow, you just have to peel this piece of paper and it's clear. It also comes with this little screwdriver thing, I think. Oh no, it's a prying tool. So use a prying tool to pry out the old lens from the Game Boy Advance. Okay, so I installed the Halo Light on my Game Boy Advance. That's what it looks like. Yeah, it's a pink Game Boy Advance, but don't judge me. Anyway, it took me around 10 minutes to install this. It should take a normal person between 2 to 5 minutes. I had a few problems with the installation. When I pried off the Game Boy Advance lens, I managed to scratch it. You can tell by the huge yellow scratch underneath the Game Boy Advance logo. I don't know if you can see it, but it's definitely there. There we go. So you should probably be careful with that. You should try to use a lens cleaner or a microfiber cloth just to clean out the dust that's on top of the LCD before you apply the Halo Light lens. Another difficult part of the installation was this dongle adapter thingy that provides light to the lens. It was fairly tight, trying to insert it into the extension port of the Game Boy Advance. It's a good thing that it's tight, so it won't fall out. Bad thing is, it feels like it's gonna break when you try to insert it. So just keep that in mind. And finally, I'll turn on the Game Boy, and I'll show you what it looks like. So this is what it looks like with the Halo Light turned off. It looks okay, and it looks fine, almost the same as how it was uninstalled. But because of the height or the thickness of the Game Boy Advance Halo Light lens, it creates a shadow along the borders of the screen. See, there's a shadow on the left side, there's a shadow along the top. I'll show you what it looks like with the light turned off. Okay. When you turn the brightness to its maximum setting, it's very difficult to see anything at all. So maybe about halfway, that should be the best brightness setting in a dark room. But when you turn on the Halo Light, the colors are muddled up and washed out. The contrast ratio is bad, and the screen is just a glary mess. It looks fairly bad. Imagine you try to change the contrast setting on your TV, and you move the contrast slider to the very end. That's what the Halo Light looks like. So I'll show you a time trial. It shows the gameplay of Mario Kart. And what I mean by the contrast settings on your TV is the screen is mostly white and you can barely see any colors or detail. It makes games like Mario Kart difficult to play because it's hard to see the coins, items, or obstacles that are on the road. It's also difficult to play games like Pokemon because the bad contrast makes it difficult to see numbers and other details like the HP bar on the screen. You can't tell whether your Pokemon is shiny or not. Everything blends into the background color and it looks like soup, literally. It's as bad as wearing a dirty pair of glasses that's not even prescribed to you. So, not only is the contrast ratio bad, but it's also the viewing angle. To get the best possible viewing angle, which isn't even that good, you have to view the screen like straight in the middle, because if you tilt it slightly, the screen doesn't focus well. It's similar to getting the sweet spot on the 3D effect of the 3DS. I'll compare it to another Game Boy Advance that I have. And I'll show you what they look like without their backlight. With the front lights turned off on both handhelds, the quality of the screens look about the same. Hold on. Well, they should. There we go. The only difference is the shadow on the borders of the Halo Light screen, which I mentioned before. With the lights turned on, so I have to turn off the light again, there's a clear difference in the picture qualities of both handhelds. The Game Boy Advance Halo Light, like I mentioned before, it ruins the contrast, causing the colors to look muddled up and washed out. My phone camera doesn't do this video justice, but through the human eye, the Halo Light is what I described it to be. You'll understand if you see this in person. With Game Boy Advance SP Light turned on, the picture quality is great. You see all the necessary colors and details, unlike this Halo Light. It's really a night and day comparison when comparing both the front lights. Keep in mind that this Game Boy Advance SP model is the AGS 001 and not the AGS 101. So I'll turn on my Game Boy Micro. It's funny that this is the lowest brightness setting for the Game Boy Micro. That's why it's difficult to record it. Overall, I'm very disappointed with the Halo Light. The product was a good idea in theory, using the extension port of the Game Boy Advance to light up the screen. So the extension port. And it does look pretty cool. And it looks like sleek and cool. But in practice, it performed poorly. Like you can tell by the picture quality. If you want to be stubborn like me and use your original Game Boy Advance, you should probably play in a well-lit room. Like this room. This room is well lit. Or you can buy a Game Boy Worm Light to play in a dark room. Those little light things that hang off the Game Boy. At least the Game Boy Worm Light won't ruin the contrast, but it will still make the screen glary. If you're good at soldering, you can also mod your Game Boy Advance with an Afterburner Light Kit, But good luck trying to find a kit online, because I tried looking for it, but I couldn't find it. Otherwise, I recommend getting a Game Boy Advance SP, a Micro, or a Nintendo DS to play Game Boy Advance games for that matter. But if you want to ignore me and get a Game Boy Advance Light, Halo Light, just don't get one that looks like this.